Hello, and welcome to what is my first preview of the season. And what a game to start off with Manchester United travelling to Anfield, a place that we've struggled in a long, long time, and something that we've not seen a win in this fixture since 2015. I'm going to go through that, I'm going to go through some predictions and lots more, as well as I've got a few people on here that are going to be putting their 2 cents across, and I'm going to show them off right now.
Hi, my name's Alex and I'm the Manchester United correspondent for Planet FPL. So, Liverpool away is obviously one of the biggest fixtures of the season for us, one of the biggest fixtures in world football, no less, and I always feel fairly nervous heading into this game, but I do think there are many reasons we can be optimistic heading to Anfield on Sunday, not least because of the situation that Liverpool find themselves in right now, having lost their last 3 games on the bounce and being without Alisson, for example. But from Manchester United's perspective, I really think we can look to seize the momentum from what was one of our best performances of the season against Sunderland before the international break. But more importantly, perhaps, is the fact that I think we're really seeing our new signings bedding into the team now. The front line is beginning to click more. We're seeing Sesko not just scoring goals, but really looking good in terms of his hold-up play and his link play. A fantastic debut for Senna Lamans, of course. And in terms of our lineup on Sunday, I think we potentially saw some clues in Ruben Amorim's press conference today, in particular when he spoke about the need to be careful with the Brazilian players who played in Japan, which would be Casemiro and Matheus Cunha. I do think we'll see both of those players start on the bench. I know it will make many of you nervous to think about the idea of Manuel Ugarte starting at Anfield, but I do think that's what we'll see. In terms of the back line, I'm pretty sure we'll see Lammen start again, along with the same back 3 that played against Sunderland, De Ligt, Yoro and Shaw. I think the wing-backs will be Dalot and Dorgu. We haven't seen Ahmad start as wing-back against one of the tougher opponents yet this season, and I do think we'll see an element of caution there again. Ugarte and Fernandes in central midfield. Mason Mount, I think, is one of the first names on the team sheet for this kind of fixture, for what he offers off the ball in terms of his work rate and pressing. And I think the front 3 will be completed by Mbumo, of course, and Benjamin Sesko, with Ahmad and Cunha there to provide that impact off the bench later in the game. In terms of the scoreline, I'm going to be optimistic and predict that we'll finally rid ourselves of that burden of no back-to-back wins in the Premier League under Ruben Amorim. I'm going to say 2-1 Manchester United. Fingers crossed.
Hey Benjamin, thanks a lot for letting me chip in your video just for a minute or two to talk about United and their upcoming game against Liverpool. Obviously, glad to see United back in action after the international break, which I always find it annoying, especially at the start of the season. Why do you have like 3 international breaks? Just makes no sense to me. But anyways, back in action, and what a game to have, huh? Anfield away is one of the toughest venues and one of the toughest games of the season for us, just historically and from a fixture difficulty standpoint as well. There's been a lot of chatter, there's been a lot of ups and downs regarding Amorim and his position as the manager, but I am glad at the comments that Sir Jim Ratcliffe made, regarding his position and the fact that, it's not going to be a knee-jerk reaction, week in, week out, depending on which journalist has to say what they have to say. And I think that was needed for Amorim, just as a confidence booster and also from a assurance, like public assurance perspective. So it's always good to have that when someone at the very top comes out and says what they did. Regarding the game, it's going to be a very entertaining one, just like last season. Liverpool haven't been at their finest. There have been some gaps to exploit, and teams have done so, the likes of Palace, notably. And that's why I feel it's not going to be a United win, I would say, but I think it'll be a draw. So either 1-1 or 2-2.
Good evening, Benjamin. Hi, it's Danny. So talking about Amran, I feel like the calls for the sacking, personally, I feel like are too premature. I feel like when people are discussing Amrin, they're including last season, which I can understand. But if that's what was going to happen, if you was going to, if the fans were deciding that Amrin should stay for the summer, then you have to give this season a new season. You have to give this season, you have to separate the two. I feel like watching the games, aside from the Man City game and parts of the Fulham game and maybe the Brentford game in the league, anyways, excluding Grimsby, I feel like the performances have been good. I don't feel like any team in the league has been able to sustain dominating a team. Like they've had a run of games where over 90 minutes they've been completely dominant. I don't think that's happened. You know, I was watching the City game against Wolves and Reiner's got a goal and assist. The first 20, 30 minutes, he made a couple of mistakes. Wolves should have punished them. Just clinical, and that's how the game goes. So I just feel like it's quite premature to talk about whether he should be sacked. I feel like for this season alone, it's still early. I feel like we can do well. In regard to the fixture, I think it's gonna be a tough game. I think Bruno is gonna be key. I think who he decides to play at right wing back will be key. That will let us know like how we're going, whether we're going for an attacking lineup or a team more conscious of not conceding, similar to what we did at Arsenal, albeit that was at home. I think we can win this game 2-1. I think we have goals in them in ourselves. I think we create a lot of chances. If we can be clinical, if Mount can start, I feel that's key. I love Cunha, but I think Mount had a good game against Sunderland. I think he contributes to us. I feel like when he plays well for United, we play well. So yeah, I think it could be a 2-1.
All right, thank you for that, guys. That's something I'm going to be doing down the line as well. I'm going to be getting some of these guys on the channel also to be doing these previews live. When I say live, I mean we're bouncing off of each other. Like I said, I want to be trying to get people more involved in this channel, not just me. It's about the wider community. And I want to try and get a bit more content where it's not just me. As I mentioned before, I'm a bit bored of hearing my voice. I'm on lots of different podcast channels. I'm on lots of different creation content channels. I'm a bit bored of hearing my own voice, so let's get some other opinions in here and let's see what the wider Manchester United community has to say about these sort of matchups. Everyone seems to be in a pretty similar vein, that we are looking into the fact that we're on a decent run of form. I want to say decent with parentheses, just because we've won 3 out of 5. That's not something we've done very often, especially not in recent times. And Liverpool seem to have found themselves in a rough set of form, winning just 2 of the last 5, losing literally 3 of the last 3. Something that Arne Slot has never done in his footballing career before. And if they were to lose this game, losing 4 out of 4 would be the first time since Brendan Rodgers. Something they never did under Jurgen Klopp, even in his struggles. So we could make some modern history, and it would mean we would win back-to-back games for the first time under Ruben Amorim, and for the first time since the end of the season 2024, I want to say, because we didn't do it last season. We did it right at the end, just before the FA Cup final. It'll be a big achievement. It's something that it's not out of the realms of possibility, but it's not something to be expected. We are the heavy underdogs, especially at Anfield. As I mentioned in the opener, it's a game that we have not won since 2015, where Wayne Rooney scored the only goal of the match, winning 1-0. And in that time, in the last decade, we have scored 4 goals. Just the 4. Liverpool did that in about half an hour a couple of years ago when they beat us 7-0. That pretty much shows the monumental task we had ahead of us, with these 4 goal scorers being Wayne Rooney in that one win, Jesse Lingard, and then last season Amad Diallo and Lissandro Martinez. If we can bring a bit more of that form that we saw them playing against the bigger boys last season, I say bigger boys, that sounds a little disrespectful to us because we should be in that conversation. We just haven't been for a few years. If we can show that bit of form and that bit of resilience that we showed last season in these bigger matches, we could be in for an okay day, especially since Liverpool somewhat match up quite nicely against the way that we like to play, especially with their new system. Arne Slot has them playing a completely different way. to last season. Last season was a lot more in the Jurgen Klopp mould, keep his squad, see how it ticks over, and then this season he's gone a bit more progressive. He's basically done the Eric Ten Hag way of doing things, where first season was a bit more pragmatic, just get yourself in the door, get yourself some results, and then try and stamp your authority, play the way you want to play, and it's worked okay. So they were top of the table, of course, a few weeks back, but everyone was looking at it going, that's not sustainable. They may be winning matches, but they're not being convincing. And eventually it caught up to them. They stopped winning matches and they showed the same performances, and eventually it all came to fruition, where they've lost to Palace, Chelsea, and then they also lost in the Champions League as well. The only issue with that, however, all three of those fixtures were away from home. They have not lost a league game since the September of last year, where they lost to Nottingham Forest. Interestingly, the game after they beat us at Old Trafford. Add into that the fact that they are the only side in the Premier League this season so far to have a 100% win record, winning 3 out of 3 at home, and we are the third worst when it comes to our away record. We're getting just 1 point in 3 games, losing at the G-Tech badly to Brentford, losing that game at the Etihad to Man City, and then eventually getting 1 point at Craven Cottage. Something we need to work on. It's an issue we've had for a while. It's something that was shown under Ten Hag as well, where we were looking at our record against the top 6 away from home, and we were always near the bottom, if not bottom. We seem to put in performances, we just never seem to get results. I don't see that changing, unfortunately, today. I say today, tomorrow. I don't see that changing then. It's going to be a tough task. It's going to be a tough ask. Liverpool are not in a run of form, but they have the players to damage us. This sort of fixture is the prime example of tribalism in football, not just in this country, but across the world. People will tune in for this match. People that don't usually watch either of these teams, they will tune in for this one. You have the Liverpool Anfield atmosphere, and you have the tribalists, the elite away supporters that Manchester United travel. You'll have them singing there, "You'll never walk alone," and you'll have Manchester United chanting "United, United, United" at the other end. It's a matchup that everyone looks for on the calendar. It's a matchup that, to be honest, everyone kind of fears, especially as a Man United fan, and one that Liverpool fans have grown annoyingly comfortable with seeing. That has to come to an end, and here is a team that I think could do that. So, starting out, we're going to go for Sene Lamont in goal, obviously, after a really, really promising performance against Sunderland on his debut for Manchester United. He just showed that level of confidence that you need from a Manchester United goalkeeper. He showed that level of security that you need, especially for a sustainable team. Onana and Bayindir had their moments, but you need someone that's a lot more structurally sound, someone that's going to be more, I don't know, someone that you know you're going to get out of them every single match. We know that Lamont right now is not at the elite of the elite, because we wouldn't have got him for the money that we did if he was. But he is a lot more of a safe pair of hands. He's a lot better in the air, and that's something that's going to be really important against Liverpool. We seem to concede at least one a season to Liverpool from corners, especially Van Dijk. We need to cut that out, especially since we've been so poor from corners this season already, conceding at Arsenal, and then we've just lost our heads against Burnley when we came to set pieces. That flipped the game on its head. We just can't have that happening again at Liverpool. They're clinical. They will punish us, and once they get the bit between their teeth, they won't stop. That's the thing about this Liverpool side. Once they get in gear, they are never shifting down again. They're just going to go in cruise control, and that's where we've been battered in the past, and we can't allow it to happen again. Sene Lamont is a better opportunity to have just that little bit pair of safe hands at the back line. And in front of him, I'm going to go with Lenny Yoro on the right hand side, Matthijs de Ligt down the middle, and Luke Shaw on the left centre back. Interestingly enough, we've seen the best and the worst of Luke Shaw this season, but we've also seen the best of Luke Shaw and the worst of Luke Shaw against Mo Salah, in what has been a battle now for a decade. We've seen him shut him up. We've seen him let him score hat-tricks. We need to do the best out of Luke Shaw. We've seen some poor performances, but we've also seen some stellar opportunities for him. He has to show it, especially Lisandro Martinez coming back to form. Back to fitness. That's what I meant to say. Hopefully he comes back to form. It'll be lovely. But we see him coming back to fitness in the short term. He's going to be training with the first squad soon enough. Luke Shaw needs to stamp down his authority if he wants to stay in this side long term. This is the game to do that. If you want to get a team and a fan base behind you, shut up, Liverpool. Don't allow Salah any space, especially in a fixture that he has enjoyed over the years. I think he scored 10 in the last 11 games against Manchester United. We can't allow it to become 11. We just can't. And then next to him we've got Matthijs de Ligt, who's actually been one of our better performances this season. He's just a man mountain. He is really good in the air. He's a warrior when it comes to covering ground. People painted him with this Maguire brush that he was slow. Whilst he isn't the fastest and most mobile of defenders, he covers ground. He's just got that, I don't know, that bullish nature about him, where if he sees a ball that's loose, he is going for it and he is getting there and he is hitting you. Against a team with the likes of Ekitike, Gakpo and Alexander Isak up top, you're going to want to just hit them. Get them second guessing their first touch. Those little moments where they're questioning where Matthijs de Ligt is, if he's going to batter them, those little moments, they cause a big difference. And the next time we've got Lenny Yoro, who was one of the shining lights in the match last season with his amazing recovery challenge against Darwin Nunez. His ability to cover ground, his on-the-floor distribution, and just his overall calmness at the back is something that we desperately need, and something that is going to be incredible to see for however long it is he stays at Manchester United, because he's still a very, very young talent, being nominated for the Copper Trophy, I think it is, the young Ballon d'Or, effectively. He's such an amazing talent. Only 19 still, to be saying that he needs to be starting at Liverpool at Anfield is such a big positive and such an amazing show of character that he is. Just hopefully he can shut up shop. He'll be up against, I'm going to imagine, Cody Gakpo. He needs to keep him on that outside. Don't let him in, because Gakpo has been in really good form. He's been scoring. Again, we saw him do that in the 7-0, and we can't let him do it again, especially after he almost joined us. It was written in the stars that he would score against us in that match, and he did. Just don't let it happen again. And then either side, I'm going to go for Patrick Dorgu and Amad Diallo. It's a bit more attacking than I think most would have expected. With Dallo's lack of fitness at times this season, Mazraoui is not 100% certain whether he'll be fully fit. There isn't really much other option. We're going to have to go with Amad Diallo, who can hopefully pin back what will likely be Milos Kerkez at left back, who has really had a hard time of it this season at Liverpool. If Amad can completely neutralise him, can beat him, and just pin him back a little bit, allows us to improve our numbers when defending and attacking, it'll be big, especially if you're going to go with Patrick Dorgu on the other side. He will be there to pin back their right back, whoever that is. I imagine it'll be Dominic Szoboszlai, which will be a big miss for them in midfield, but Ryan Gravenberch, it sounds like, could be back. But Dominic Szoboszlai at right back, it's not his natural position, and he has shown it at times, giving away some sloppy fouls, and just those angles are slightly different than when you play in the centre of the park, and he's not quite shown the same talent and level of quality that he showed in those central areas, although he has been a more steady player down that right hand side with Jeremy Frimpong, being seen as more of a winger because he played there in the Champions League matchup. It'll be big if we can utilise that left hand side, especially with Luke Shaw popping in and out, giving him an option. I think there could be an area that we find of positivity when it comes to attacking their fullbacks with our wing-backs. There could be an area of, I don't know, a bit of area of dominance, just those little 1v1 battles. I think that's where this game could be won and lost. Speaking of winning and losing, the area that we have been damaged and battered at times in the last 12 months, and that is down the middle. I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandes. Annoyingly, I'd rather him play further forwards, but we seem adamant of playing him in that number 8 position. And his partner's going to be an interesting one. I would love to say Casemiro. Casemiro is so important to us. He is getting up there in terms of age, but his experience does show at times, despite his rash nature in other opportunities. I'm unfortunately going to go with Manu Ugarte. Mainly just because Casemiro played 180 minutes and captained the Brazil side during the international tournaments. During the international break, is what I meant to say. Which I don't know if he can be trusted to start. I don't know if at his age he can be playing this many minutes. It would have been nice to have seen him rested for the second matchup, especially since they went on to lose it in the end. I'm going to go with Ugarte, who had a good game, to be fair, against Liverpool previously, but I don't know. He's just not been at it for a while, actually. It could be where we win and lose that match is if he shows up what he can be at times. But if we see the Manu Ugarte we have seen the majority of Manchester United's career, it could be a long day, especially with Liverpool being quite good in those physical 1v1 midfield battles with Gravenberch coming back, with McAllister in there, with Florian Wirtz looking to float around if he plays, or if it's Curtis Jones. It'll be a difficult matchup. It's annoying having to say Manu Ugarte. I would love for it to be Casemiro. If it's Casemiro, I would have my confidence levels improved quite a lot. But I'm going to go Ugarte. Which leaves us with the front three, which I'm going to go for Brian Mbeumo on the right hand side, looking to link up with Amad Diallo, just causing issues for Milos Kerkez, and just give him a long day. That being said, they might bring in Robertson just for that bit of experience, just that bit more. Don't want to say pragmatism, because he is still a threat going forwards, but he's a lot more of a safe, steady player when it comes to his defensive qualities compared to Milos Kerkez. On the left hand side, I'm going to go for Mason Mount, who has earned his start after his performance against Sunderland. He is a player that is brilliant at picking up the ball and just playing quickly, which could be really key against his Liverpool side, who at times can play a high line, can sit back into mid-block at times when trying to soak up a bit more pressure. But I think Mason Mount could be really key, especially against a side who, like I said, have completely changed up their fullbacks. Their build-up is not quite as good as it used to be, especially with Mamardashvili in goal, with Alisson out injured right now. They haven't quite got those patterns, so a pressing machine in Mason Mount could be really key in this matchup, which leaves us with Benjamin Šeško up top, who's got 2 and 2. Would love for him to make it 3 and 3, or even more if he wants to go back a couple. It's going to be a difficult matchup for him, with us going direct to his head against Sunderland, to his chest, to his feet, just trying to win those physical battles and pop it off. He's up against a completely different beast this week in Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. They do like to double up when it comes to their centre-backs on the opposition's lone striker. It'd be a difficult matchup for him. It'd be a completely different threat, a different challenge to what he's faced in his Premier League career so far. One that he will likely walk off that pitch and go, you know what? If this is the level, wow. I'm in for a long season. I'm in for a long career if he stays here. But if he can get his feet under him, if he can get a goal or two, wow. What that will do for his confidence going forwards. And what that will do for our confidence going forwards in him. Could be pivotal, this match, for his career, at least this season. If he can get a few. Wow, what that will do for him. And finally then, after running through all that, what do I predict the score is going to be? This is a tough one. Like I said, there is some reasons to be positive, some reasons to look forward to this matchup. I just don't see it going our way this time. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Liverpool win. As much as that hurts to say, I'm going to be realistic. I would love to be positive, and I'd love to say we're going to do them. Because, you know, we're going to do them. We're in form. They're not. But I just don't see it happening. 3-1 Liverpool. That's how I see it going. And if we play well, I'm not going to say it's not going to be the end of the world, because of course I would rather go to Anfield, not play well, and get a result. But if we show some signs that this season is going somewhere, we can take something out of it. And I'll be here to analyse it after the match.